Alright, all. You know the drill. Link up here if you want to watch part 1. Now let's get into it.
The intervention start is like a session 0. It's where you select the game system you want to use, discuss player needs, and the DM, I mean the guide, can sit down and start planning things out and make some initial assessments. This is also where the guide and players introduce the backstory and motivations, discuss what's off limits, and players will have to answer some questions, the ones shown here. The guide is recommended to create custom scenarios for the players to interact with. These should reflect the skills and needs of players in question. My advice is if you can have a single session work to help multiple players, as many as possible, do so, but only focus on one skill stroke need at a time.
With the intervention narrative, or the adventure, out of the way, players should provide some feedback to the guide. Here's where the guide goes over the consequences of the player's actions, making sure they're absolutely clear to the players. Also, the players each take turns explaining the mental state of their character and their present motivations. At the end, players will have to report. They'll talk about playing their character, where their narrative journey ends, why is it important to them, and discuss the emotional and behavioral conflicts they had during play.
To help guides out, they have some recommended tools for CBT. Links are in the description. But moving on, they have a section with a fascinating COVID-19 in Santa Casa de Sao Paulo. I speak 5th best Spanish. I only do Latin and German. Sorry, guys. But anyway, shown here. I'm not going to linger on it, but have a look on your own. It's really pretty cool. The play session is broken down as follows. The opening and the rapport, which takes about 10 to 15 minutes. And this is where players get to make their introductions. They effectively discuss the previous session. They make suggestions about the adventure, whether previous or upcoming, about, system rules, conflicts, gameplay, any kind of technical aspect of the group dynamic. Then we have the behavioral assessment and setting of goals. This typically takes about 20, 30 minutes, they say, where every week the participants fill out this form document, which is very significant. It's where they catalog their thoughts, their behaviors, and what has influenced them. Additionally, they can suggest alternatives and reflect on the consequences of their actions, as well as the quality of the outcomes. It is also noted that they should be setting their goals at this time, where participants and the DM can set goals for these sessions, broadly speaking, proposing alternative behaviors, new goals, anything to really be achieved within the game. From the discussion of the task, then, the DM can create individual plans and work toward it actually being therapy. So from there, we have the game, which is broken down into a 90-minute or so section where you do all the normal stuff. You play D&D, right? Where you work on the desired social skills, the training, the whole 9 yards. And it's following that you have the debriefing stroke feedback section. This by itself can take an hour. And it's once the session really is ended, the DM provides feedback to players, highlights ideas, goes over behaviors, and they go into the consequences, and then the party goes and actually fills out the forms to make this a more measured form of therapy. And we can see some of the outcomes here on your screen.
There are some tools linked in their paper if you want some help. They even gave us an example of play and some cool ideas. The cursed staff is the scene. The participants retrieved the cursed staff, but it proved to be a wrong decision, as the evil necromancer was now able to return to this world. They were accused of being his allies and had to defend themselves. Now, what they're gaining from this is effective communication, and I loved this cursed staff thing when I was 10 years old in the Knuckleheads. we got our hands on a lot of accursed stuff that we thought wasn't accursed, and it led to a lot of good times. So, a lot of good memories from that. The choice between two leaders. The participants face the daunting task of choosing a side in an impeding battle, each option presenting its own set of advantages and disadvantages. A pretty sticky situation, which side of the fence are you going to come down on? Now, the social skill you're gaining here is conflict management and resolution, which is great for in game and out of game, right, in everybody's life. Finally, character's death. One of the participants' characters died in combat. The group had to deal with the loss of a beloved one and rethink their battle strategy. The social skill gained here is relationship management and group management. These three things are imperative both in game settings and, of course, in real life. We are all going to experience thinking we're making the right choice when in actuality it's a wrong choice. We've all been there, done that. I've got the t-shirt. There's a street named after me there. With the choice between the two leaders, once again, you've got two friends that are in a squabble. Do you remain neutral? Do you pick one side over the other? Why do you pick one side over the other, right? These are situations that happen in everyday life. And character's death is something everyone is going to face in their life. And when you're able to experience these things in a controlled environment in game form, it gives you a little bit easier method or road to be able to overcome them in game, so that prepares you in real life for when these situations arise.
So, that's the academic blah blah out of the way, and that's how Otani et al. Recommend you do things. So, what do you think? Hopefully, between this and the last video, they sparked some ideas for you. Let me know in the comments section down below. We'll see you in a couple of weeks with our next topic. I've got some thoughts on why the history and lore in your D&D world suck and how we can fix it, or at least how we can make players experience it a little bit better. Take it easy, y'all.